everyone. Hope you had a good weekend and a good Monday and Tuesday. Let's go ahead and jump up and see who is on. Okay. Oh man, I'm on the wrong Wi-Fi. I wonder if I can fix this. Hang on. Let me see if I can somehow fix my Wi-Fi. I need to switch it. If I lose you, I'll come back on. Okay. Are you still there? It looks like I'm still here. Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Laura. All right, I learned something new today. Woohoo! Hello, Mary. Hope it was a good day for everybody. I had a good day, other than I've been fighting a little. I have a migraine sitting, waiting to explode, and I can feel it in the nerve in my cheek. It's been kind of bothering me all day, so we'll see. I'm hoping that it's going to hold off and just go away. All right, well, as you can tell, tonight we're going to be using some Sale-a-Bration items. We're going to start with the Calming Camellia set and the Simply Marvelous paper, and these are the patterns that you get. So you get Balmy Blue, and this also has Pacific Pointed, I believe, Highland Heather with the Gorgeous Grape, So Saffron with Daffodil Delight, Gray Granite and Smoky Slate, and then we've got a Blushing Bride with the Flirty Flamingo. So these are what it looks like, and you get 8 sheets of each of these. All right, and this item is free with a qualifying $50 purchase during Sale-a-Bration, and that only goes through February 28th. The Calming Camellia stamp set, this is a host Sale-a-Bration reward. So you can either make a large purchase of $300 or more and receive this, and or you can get together some friends, and if all your friends' orders total $300 or more, then you'll automatically get this stamp set for free. Okay, in addition, I'm pulling in the Nature's Thoughts dies from the annual catalog. This has a coordinating stamp set called Positive Thoughts, and that is this stamp set. And so those are some good alternatives. We're going to be using the frame from this set to make our card. Okay, so let's go ahead and move these out of the way and get started. Now, I started out and I made one card using the Gorgeous Grape and Highland Heather, and that is my sample card, and this is what it looks like. And then I wanted to show you that you can do this easily in a lot of different colors. So I'm switching to a Flirty Flamingo card base. I'm going to be using a piece of the gray, Smoky Slate cardstock that I'm going to put on there. Okay, so our card base is standard A2, and then this is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I've also got another piece of Flirty Flamingo, and this I have cut at 3 by 4 1/2. Okay, and this is just a tiny bit bigger than the die that we'll be using. So this is the beginning of our card. So we can set that aside. Okay, and this is what I'm going to use for stamping. Okay, so we're going to get the Flirty Flamingo ink. And we're going to take the largest Camellia flower bouquet. And I'm going to stamp that, or I'm going to ink this up in Flirty Flamingo. Let's see if I can get you in frame. I'm going to hope this inks right in the center. Sometimes with these older ink pads, you don't get that right in the center. Okay. All right. And this is the image that you get. Beautiful. Okay. And we're going to set this aside and bring in the mini cut in emboss machine. I'm going to take plate 1, plate 2. Going to put in my stamped image, and this will barely fit. It's going to cut off just a tiny bit. So I'm going to line that up. And I'm going to put my top plate on and run that through. Oh no, come on. Sometimes with the mini, those straight edges don't want to go through. But got it. Okay. And there is our image. Okay. Hello, Lynette. Hello, Jennifer. Yeah, thanks, Mary. I'm praying that it goes away too, because I certainly don't want to be down for the next 2 days with the migraine. I don't have time for that. Okay, so I'm going to take my Dark Daffodil Delight stamping blend, and I'm going to grab my scrap paper. Oops, piece of paper went flying. And I'm going to just go and put a little bit of Daffodil Delight in the center of the flowers, just to give those stamen some color. Okay, so this image is ready, but we can't add it yet. I'm going to take a 1/2 inch strip of the Designer Series paper, and I'm going to use the opposite side of the I'm going to use the one that's more marbled rather than the one that looks more satiny. So we're going to use this. We're going to grab our Stamparatus. And I'm going to, I've got the You Make Me Smile from the Camellia set. And I think I've got this set up so I stick it right here. No, must be right. Right there. Okay, I'm going to put just a bit of temporary tape there because I don't want it to go anywhere. So, was it here, I think? I'm good here. Yep, that's going to get me. Okay, I'm going to take my, actually for this one, I'm going to use the basic gray. If I can figure out what I did with the basic gray. For some reason, I set it in the wrong bin. Okay, I'm going to ink this up. And because this is a very small 1/2 inch and this sentiment barely fits on there. No, this is going to be fine. Then I can use the Stamparatus and I can make it darker. I don't have to worry about hitting that small piece of paper. And there we have it. Okay, so now that is ready for our project. And let me clean that real quick because we're going to need the Stamparatus again. Not for this particular project, but I will need it later. So I'm going to set that over there. And now we have this. Okay. So we're going to add this about here. So I'm just going to take some Stampin' Seal. This is a pretty simple card. Just wanted to show you how easy it is to make quick cards with the Calming Camellia set that are beautiful. And of course, if you didn't have this die set, you could easily cut your paper to 2 7/8 by 4 3/8, or even a little bigger, and then make your mat a little bit bigger. Easy thing to do. So we're going to attach this to our mat now. And we're going to attach our marbles piece to our card base. And hang on, I didn't fold my card. Oh, yes, I did. I pre-folded it. Good for me. I like to fold before I put my layers on. It's just easier. So we're just going to lay that down. And then we're going to get some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to turn this over. And I like to make sure that I'm not going to sag in the middle. So I probably go a little overboard on my Stampin' Dimensionals, but you get 300 in a pack and they're only $4, so I'm going to do it so my cards don't sag. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and center this up. Okay, now for the finishing touch on this, we're going to add some of the brushed brass butterflies. And I'm going to use my take your pick tool for that. If you don't have one of these, you should, because they are really nice. I'm going to take one of the larger butterflies, and I'm just going to place it up here. I'm going to take a smaller butterfly. Can get it off my nail. All right, come on. And I'm going to place this over here like it's flying away from the smile. And then I'll take a second smaller one, and I'm just going to put it right down there. Okay, so there is the outside of our card. Now for the inside of our card, oops, sorry about that, guys. I dropped my inside pieces. Okay, let's set these out of the way. And then the inside piece is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. That's the standard size that I use for my innards. And I'm going to take that Flirty Flamingo. Well, no, I'm not with this one. I'm going to use the gray. I'm going to use the basic gray because I don't. You could put Flirty Flamingo leaves, but that goes against my grain. I just can't do it. So I'm going to stamp my inside in the basic gray. Okay. And then I'll stamp my sentiment in the Flirty Flamingo. And the sentiment says, it's the little things that make life great. And this too is from the Calming Camellia stamp set. All right. So there is the inside of our card. And we're just going to place that in here. All right. And then for my envelope, which I'm sure I grabbed one. Maybe I didn't. Hang on. I'm going to make sure I have my flap up correctly. And I'm going to take this leaf image again. And I'm going to ink that up in the basic gray. And I'm going to stamp that right on the outside. And I didn't ink that up very well, but that's all right. And then I'm going to take a scratch piece. I'm going to take that Calming Camellia, or the Camellia image. I'm going to ink up the top. I don't care if I ink up the bottom. I'm going to push the flap of my envelope up, and I'm just going to put this image down in the corner, like so. And now I have a matching envelope. All right. So there's the first project, and that's finished. But I got my cards all done, And I thought, oh, that's nice. Let me see what else I can do. So I took a piece of basic white cardstock and I stamped in the Versamark ink, and then I put on white embossing powder and heat set that, and then I used my Stampin' blends in Flirty Flamingo and Old Olive with some of the Daffodil Delight and a little bit of smoky slate around the outside, and this is what I came up with. So you could easily put this down and have a beautiful card just like that. So there's an option for you with the stamp set with a different look. And then I thought, well, what would it look like if I did it in the basic gray? So I used basic gray cardstock, stamped in Versamark, and used the white embossing powder. And again, I used Flirty Flamingo and Old Olive. And that is the result I got with that. And then I thought, all right, let's try something totally different. And let's stamp it in the basic gray on basic white. And then let's color with the Flirty Flamingo and the Old Olive. And this is the result that I got with that. So, and it's easy to do this in all 5 of those different colorways for the paper. You could easily do blue, and I showed you the gorgeous gray, or the gorgeous great paper with the Highland Heather. So you've got a couple of different colorway options there. And of course you could use the Daffodil Delight with the paper as well. All right, so that shows you how versatile you can take that, just that one image, and make all kinds of easy cards quickly. Okay? All right, so let's move on to our next project. Get these out of the way. Okay, our next project will take a little bit of extra time. It's got a few steps and a couple of different techniques. So let's get some of these inky stamps out of my way so I don't put my paper or my fingers in them, which I've been known to do a time or two. All right. So our next card features driving by. So I'll put that stamp set away. This is free with a qualifying purchase of $50. You could choose this. So our card base for this is going to be Pool Party. Let's go ahead and... Oh, Jennifer, you like the flower on the black the best? It was let's see. Lynette likes the pink one. Oh, thanks, Cynthia. Okay, so we've got the Pool Party. Let's see if I missed anything. Oh, thank you for sharing, Jennifer. All right, so we've got a Pool Party card base, and that's a standard A2. And I've got a couple of pieces of the Patterned Party Host paper. That's the 48 pack of 12 by 12 paper that is in the annual catalog, and you can earn with your Stampin' Rewards. So if you have an order or a workshop of at least $150, you can purchase this with your Stampin' Rewards, and the cost is $18. So let's say you had a $150 order, the paper is $18, you would just pay the difference. You would use your $15 of your Stampin' Rewards and then pay $3 of your money to cover the rest of the cost. Okay, so we're going to put that on the envelope flap. Let's go ahead and get that done right now. And this is a piece of 2 1/4 by 6 inch. Okay, and make sure when you're doing this is a one-way pattern, so you want to make sure that you spread your envelope out and get it in the direction that your flap is going to go so that you get your pattern going the correct direction. So I'm just going to put this like so, right up against that fold line. Press that down. I like to use my bone folder to squish out that ink. And then I'm going to just give it a trim with my snips. And then our envelope will be finished. And don't worry if you trim off a little bit of the envelope, it really doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be checking. Nor will this recipient probably even know you did it. Only you will. Okay. So our envelope is ready. We've got our base card ready. Let's go ahead. And you're going to need a piece of Bermuda Bay. Uh-oh, I'm dropping pieces. This piece is cut at, I think 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Nope, 4 by 5 1/4. All right, so we've got that piece. It's going to be our base layer. And then I've got a piece of basic white. This is a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. We're going to trim that down, of course. And then in addition to the 2 1/4 by 6 inch piece of that designer series paper, you also need a small scrap that you can stamp your little bug, your little minivan here on. And you're also going to stamp that on a scrap piece of basic white. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our stamping done. So we're going to use Memento Black. And we're going to stamp out a van. Okay. And then you're also going to stamp it on your paper. Like so. Okay. Then you will cut out you just need this part of the van. You're going to cut above the wheels like so. And it's okay to cut right on the line. You don't want anything left below. So we're just going to cut that and get rid of that excess. I'm going to cut my van out. I don't need the headlight, nor do I need the tail light. And I'm just going to go along the black line all the way on the outline here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my excess. And I'm going to cut that down. Cut right on that black line. And then I'm going to cut right along this bottom line just above the two door handles. I'm going to cut this right along that bottom line so that I have this left. And I'm going to cut along the top line here. Okay. And I'm going to keep this little tiny piece. So these are the two pieces that we need. All right. And I can set all this excess to the side. All right. And I'm going to take that Volkswagen van. And I'm going to take some multi-purpose liquid glue. And remember, just a dot, not a lot. We don't want glue oozing everywhere. If you can see it, it's enough. And then I'm just going to place this down right here on my van. Line up my black lines. And give that a press. And before I go any further, let me get my light Bermuda Bay. And I'm going to color this little part of my van, and you should do this before you put your pieces on, just in case you go out of the line a little bit, then you can cover it up with your glue, but we did okay. And then we're going to take the light pool party, and I'm just going to scribble a little bit in the windows. And then I'm going to take my color lifter, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to blend that in and lighten it up. I just want to give it the appearance of glass. Okay, so we can set that aside. And then we're going to take, let's finish our Bermuda Bay. I'm going to color along the wheel wells here. And just color in my fenders. My bumpers. I'm going to take my dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to color in my headlight and my tail light. And actually, my tail light should probably be red. And then I'm going to take gray granite. I'm going to color in the center of my wheels here, the hubcaps, and my muffler. And then I'm going to take the light basic black. I should have a paper down underneath my work surface. I forgot to do that. Hopefully I'm not bleeding through too badly. And I'm just going to color up my tires here. All right. And if you go over on your black a little like I just did, go back with your basic gray and push that color back. Okay, now we're going to take and add the roof of our van with a little spot of liquid glue, and I found the best way to do this one is just to put my liquid glue right on my van because it is so tiny. And then I'll just put that up there, and now my van is ready to be cut out. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of my excess paper here. Now this time I'm going to go around the outside and I'm going to leave a little bit of white around the outside edge. I'm just going to turn my paper with my left hand. And then when I get to the wheels, I'm going to go ahead and cut right on that line as best I can. I don't want to cut inside it, I just want to cut on it. And I don't really want any white on the outside. But if I have any white, I will take my Stampin' Blend marker. And I just want to do that with the wheels, the tires there. I'm going to leave a little bit of white along the bottom. And this will all make sense to you in just a little bit here as to why I'm doing it this way. Okay. And there we have our little bus. Isn't that cute? Oh, you just made some Valentines with the driving by. Be curious to see how those turned out, Jen. All right, so we are now going to grab our Stamparatus. So we've got those pieces cut. Oh, wait a minute, we have one more little stamping to do with the Bermuda Bay ink. So in Bermuda Bay, we're going to take the driving by just to say hi, and I don't want it to say driving by just to say hi. So I'm going to take the driving by just to say hi, and I'm going to take a piece of Post-it tape. You could use a Post-it note, piece of tape, whatever. And I'm just going to mask off the hi. And then I'm going to ink that up. The most important thing here is that you pull the masking. And then we're just going to stamp this down. Okay? And I don't care that it isn't straight because it doesn't matter. I'm going to die cut this. So then I'm going to take from what did I do with those dies? I must have left them over at the die cutting station. I did. Hang on just a minute. I will grab those. These are the basic shapes dies. These are in the mini catalog. They come in the Abstract Beauty Suite. But you don't, I didn't get the stamp set. I just got the dies. So then I'm going to take this die and I'm going to put this right along there, and I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. And I'm going to get this. Okay. So now I have my sentiment. And I can set that aside. All right. So now we're going to grab our Stamparatus. We've got a couple of things that we need to stamp with this. So we're going to flip this over, and I'm going to grab a stamp pad because it's always best to have a stamp pad or a stamp case underneath so that you can get proper inking. But basic gray would not be the color to use for that because that's the color I need to ink my stamp up with. So this stamp that I am using comes from the Gumball Greetings stamp set. And I'm not 100% sure where my Gumball Greetings stamp set is because I'm in the process of using it. And oh no, it is right on my shelf where it belongs. So the Gumball Greetings stamp set has this wonderful little stripy stamp. So you get 3 dark stripes on it, and I'm going to use this to simulate a road. So I'm going to take a piece of basic white. What did I do with my piece that I had for that? No, this isn't going to be white enough, is it? No, I think I used my piece. Oh, no, here it is, right here. It's best to use a larger piece for this so that you can cut it down. Okay, so I'm going to just put this in my Stamparatus. And I've already lined my road up to what I think is pretty straight. And again, I'm going to put a little bit of there we go, perfect. Temporary adhesive there. And then I'm going to ink this up with the basic gray. And I'm going to stamp that down. And that did not go well at all. Let's put that back down here. Make sure that's in the corner. Give that a good rub. Get that ink off of there. And I'm not sure why that is not inking up properly. All right, but because we're using the Stamparatus, we have more than one go. I'm going to clean that. I am not sure why that is not inking. Very good at that one end. So let's try that again. Still not super happy with that. I might have to flip my paper the other direction. I don't quite understand. It worked perfectly for me the other day. I don't know if I have something on my paper that it's not taking the ink. Good enough. We're going to go with that. Just isn't. Maybe it's because my paper is wrinkled that I have it on. Oh well. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to definitely get that piece out of there. All right, so the next piece that we will be stamping, that we should be stamping. Oh, here, I'll need that back. I've actually already got it stamped, so I'm just going to tell you what I did. I'm going to take this out of here. I'm going to clean that. I'm going to take the spiral die clean stamp set, this one, and I've already put it onto my pad, and I'm just going to take the quarter sheet of paper, and I would use some temporary adhesive for this again, and then I would ink this up in Versamark. Okay, and I would ink it all over in the Versamark and stamp it down. And then I would add white embossing powder to the whole thing and heat set that. And then I would have this piece of paper after I heat set it. And I didn't do that. I mean, I did that ahead of time because the heat set process takes a while. And I didn't want you to be here all night waiting on me to get that done. So it took me a good 5 minutes to get that heat set. So I don't think you need to see me do that. All right. So now we're going to bring in a piece of our scrap paper. And I'm going to take my blending brushes. Okay, and I've got Bermuda Bay, Real Red, and Pumpkin Pie. Okay, so let's get my orange brush. And I'm going to start in the center with Bermuda Bay. And I'm getting these colors right off of the colors that are on my bug. Okay, we coordinate with that paper. So we're going to start with Bermuda Bay. I'm going to take my blending brush, kind of worked myself into a corner here. Okay, I'm going to start in the center, and I'm going to go out just a little bit. Okay, and let's go just a little bit darker. All right, I'm happy with that. Next, I'm going to take my Real Red. Ooh, my hinge hung up. And ink up my brush. I'm going to go right around my Bermuda Bay. And I'm going in a circular motion, trying to follow those tie-dyes, and I'm going into the Bermuda Bay a little bit. Okay. And next is Pumpkin Pie. I'm going to turn my paper on the Pumpkin Pie because I'm going to start on the edge And I'm going to go into the red, but I'm not going to make a full circle with it because I do not need to do that. So I'll just make a little crescent moon shape here. And then I'll do the same on the bottom. All right, and I'm happy with that. So I can set my ink pads and my brushes aside, somewhere where they won't get on stuff. And then I'm going to take a tissue. Oh, my wrist popped. I'm going to wipe that off the top of the white. And this is what we call emboss resist. Because the embossing will resist the ink. So we can still have our colors in between. But still have our white. Okay. So there is our piece now. Okay. So now this needs to be cut down. So we're going to cut this down to 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 by 4 1/8, 5 1/8. Okay, so I'm going to cut off the edge over here and at the bottom that doesn't have any embossing, so you want to make sure you look at that. So I'm going to go 1/8 inch from the standard card base layer of 4, so 3 7/8. And I'm going to take a look at that. And I actually am going to cut a little bit more off of this side than I am this side because I want my spiral not to be in the center of my paper. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut off the part that is not embossed. And then I'm going to turn this and cut at 3 7/8. Which will set my spiral off a little more to the right than to the left. Now, of course, on your card, you can do it any way you like. And again, I'm going to cut off the very bottom where there's no embossing. And I want this to be a little bit higher than lower. So I'm going to cut off of the top of this one. Is that what I want to do? Yes. Okay. All right, so now here's my piece, which is now 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and should fit with a 1/8 inch border on our 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my road and I'm going to put this on my trimmer. And I'm going to cut right along the bottom there. Oh, I still have my temporary adhesive on the back. It's getting stuck on my trimmer. Okay, now that white at the bottom is going to bother me. So I'm going to put this back in my trimmer. And I'm going to set the edge of that gray right in the track. And I'm going to cut that. And I got just a little bit of fraying underneath there, so I'm going to cut that off. All right, and then I'm going to put this back in my trimmer. And this one I'm going to leave. I'm going to cut this at a 1/2 inch. Okay. So now I have this for my road. And I'm going to put this down, and the part that didn't stamp well is off of the edge. So I'm going to set this down. I'm going to audition that. I'm going to put my bug right here. And that's a little high for what I want, so I'm going to move that down a little bit. Just about there. Okay, so that is about, on mine, it's about a 1/2 inch from the bottom. Okay. And then I'll just take some liquid glue. I'm going to set that back down here. And then I'm going to move that up just a bit. And I'm going to grab my, where did I set my grid paper at? Right here. I'll put the grid paper, and I'm going to line this up along one of those grid lines just to make sure that I get this fairly straight. Okay. And then I'm going to trim this off. All right. Okay. So now we can go ahead and mount this on our layer. I'm just going to use Stampin' Seal. I don't like to use the liquid adhesive so much on the white because sometimes it will show through. So now we have that. We can add this to our card base. And again, we're using Stampin' Seal. I'm going to center that up. I'm going to take my Bermuda Bay light marker. I'm going to take the bullet tip. And I'm just going to put 3 little dots behind the say. And then I'm going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals. Put on the back of there. Get some Stampin' Dimensionals on our van. And I'm going to grab some minis for the wheels, the tires, and put those right in the center of my tires. And then we'll add our little van to the road. Okay. Add our sentiment. I'm going to put that up here, like so. And then for the finishing touch on the front, we're going to take the Pebbles enamel shapes, which apparently I didn't cut open like I usually do. And my Take Your Pick tool. And we're going to grab some of the grayer stones. We're going to put, just going to lift that off. I'm going to put a couple behind the van here so that it looks like it's just off the road. Putty came off my take your pick tool there. Get that off. Oh, I'll get that off later. And then I'm going to take and put 3 more up here. So that it looks like those are just off the road. Alongside, not on. Oh, let's set that down there. Like that. Okay, got that putty off. All right, and that is the front of our card. So for the inside of our card, I've actually done a couple of the insides of the cards, and you guys can tell me what you think. Which do you prefer? I stamped one, and I just stamped the little bug and colored him in Bermuda Bay, and then put thanks for being you. And the other one, I've used the spiral die, and to get this effect, I took the spiral die and I took my, oh, let me show you, because I have this clean, so I can do that. Whoops, kind of got a mess here. So we're going to take our die, our spiral die stamp set here, and we're going to get the Bermuda Bay ink and the Bermuda Bay brush. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to ink it with my blending brush. Can you see that? You could ink it and then stamp it off and stamp it off again until you got the hue that you were looking for. But I kind of preferred this rather than stamping off, and stamping off. Okay, and then I just put a piece of paper down. Made sure that was lined up properly. And then I give it a good press. Okay. And then that's what I have. And then I went ahead and stamped my little bug. And this one has presents on the top. So again, I'm going to mask that off. Stamp it down. Make sure you remove that mask. Stamp it in the corner. and then color the tires and the car with your Stampin' Blends. Well, in this case, I just did the fenders and the lights so that you still have some of that tie-dye coming through. Okay. So, which inside do you like better? Oops, this one. Hang on, the colored one. Go ahead and put in the comments which one you think I should use. Use the spiral one inside. Okay, I've got one for the spiral. Anyone else? Spiral. Okay. All right, let's set this to the side. I think I've got all this out of the, yeah, we're good. All right, so let's go ahead and use the spiral one then. And I will just put this on the inside. Bring in that. And the first card we made. All right. And there you have the projects for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed those and that you will come back next week. I'm planning to use the Daffodil Daydream stamp set and dies along with the Daffodil Afternoon Celebration paper. Okay? Thank you for joining me, everybody. I appreciate it. Until next time, see you soon. Thanks for watching.